All right, the speculation is all over. Bowl matchups finalized. Derek Phillips, Corey Miller here to break down the Gamecocks and Tigers destinations. USC back to Orlando for the Capital One Bowl for the second time in 3 years. They'll face the Wisconsin Badgers. Clemson heading back to Miami for a BCS appearance in the Orange Bowl against the Buckeyes from Ohio State. But first, Corey, let's start with USC. I would imagine that Gamecock fans right now probably not thrilled overall with going back to the state of Florida. But nonetheless, a new matchup for the Gamecocks. Wisconsin, a tough team. Your initial thoughts on this matchup?
Well, first of all, Derek, you're right. There's a mixed bag of emotion when you talk about South Carolina fans headed back to Orlando, the land of Disney. But some fans feel a little upset. Kind of, you got that Clemson-South Carolina controversy. But at the same time, with the tie-ins, this is where South Carolina probably was going to be based on how things happened in the SEC championship game. Had Missouri won that football game, maybe, just maybe, we've been headed to Dallas, Texas for that Cotton Bowl, but unfortunately Auburn was too good.
The weather obviously a lot nicer right now in the Sunshine State.
Yes, no doubt about that.
If the Gamecock fans that do travel, I'm sure will be a lot happier to not deal with ice and snow that's going on in Texas right now. Obviously, Wisconsin, they're like that old school Big Ten team that run the ball a lot. They got two guys over 1,000 yards rushing, but they also throw the ball. Aberderis over 1,000 yards this year receiving.
Right, a very balanced football team, and this is a good football team. Not a great football team. If you're South Carolina, you still need to go down and win this football game. And you're right, two backs, two-headed monster at the running back position, a very good quarterback, very sound, makes good decisions. Aberderis on the outside, he's a playmaker at the wide receiver position. But South Carolina should be in this ball game. It's a good matchup. It's not a great matchup. I tweeted out earlier, I like it, but I'm not really just thrilled about it. It's not one of the matchups like I'm really looking forward to going down and watching.
It'll be interesting to see, obviously, last year, the Michigan game. I think a lot of folks expected that one to be a close ball game, and that turned out to be one of the best bowl games of 2012.
The old clowny thing.
Absolutely.
Year, right?
So maybe we'll have another moment in this ball game where, people are like, wow, the bowl guys win it again. So we'll see how this one plays out. Let's jump over to the Clemson ship. Obviously, the Tigers back in a BCS bowl. Now, Gamecock fans are probably upset that the Tigers are going back to a BCS bowl, but nonetheless, Clemson, handled their business for the most part, despite the Florida State loss and the loss to USC, and that's life in the ACC and that's life in the SEC. So, what are your initial thoughts on the Tigers and the Buckeyes?
Well, the bottom line is the bowl tie-ins. This is how it works out. Florida State winning the ACC, beating Duke 45-7, kind of marching that national championship game. Well, the Orange Bowl has to take the highest BCS ranked team, which is Clemson. So therefore, you call it luck, you can call it what you want to. I call it just the way the system is. But they get Ohio State, which I think is going to be a very good football game. I mean, Urban Meyer, he's probably kicking himself still about the game, on yesterday. But I think it's a great matchup. Clemson has an opportunity, I think, to somewhat redeem themselves after losing to Florida State and South Carolina. But it should be a good matchup down in Miami. But Derek, probably some nightmare feelings or dreams, if you will, about the Orange Bowl. Because the last time they were there, West Virginia, some folks just tweeted me and said they just scored again.
Will Taj Boyd be able to exploit the Ohio State defense?
I think so. When you look at the breakdown of Ohio State, it's their defense. Their offense is very good with Hyatt and Braxton Miller. Then you got, their defense that gives up points. And when you talk about Taj Boyd, his final game in the Clemson Tiger uniform, what is going to be his last statement? How will people remember Taj Boyd? And I think after the South Carolina game, the interceptions, the fumbles, a lot of mistakes, this is a game I think he needs to leave that lasting impression on Tiger Nation.
All right. Well, you and Brian McConkey will obviously have a lot more on these two matchups all week long. I'm going to take a little vacation and get back, enjoy myself a little bit. But we'll be back in full force, and the bowl game is right around the corner. So we'll have much more on the Gamecocks and Badgers, and also the Tigers and Buckeyes. That's going to do it for sports. We'll be right back.